And I thought, that's it. I'm going to be there. Someone's packing up my desk. My worst nightmare story is something that didn't involve hackers. Well, it did, but the hacker was me. I was young. I was new at this bank, and I was set the task of changing permissions on Windows file structures and all that kind of stuff. And I got this request through to say, change these permissions on these folders. And when you go into the folder structure, you can set the permissions on that folder, and there was a little tick box that also copied all those permissions to all the subdirectories underneath it. And so when I changed the permissions, I accidentally ticked that box when I hit run. And so it copied all these permissions down. And I thought, what's the worst that could happen? Unbeknownst to me, that was a precursor to online banking, and that was a system that was available to some of our high net worth customers. And within like 15 minutes, the bank started getting phone calls. I cannot access my online platform. I need to trade currencies or what have you. So it was a priority one incident, and my boss turns to me after a while and says, oh, there's this priority one incident on the queue. Do you know anything about it? And me being new and young, I said, absolutely not. I know nothing about it. Whilst logging onto the system, going to the logs and hitting clear logs, because I just didn't want to lose my job. So then I walk into this meeting room with all these execs there, senior people there, people fuming, head of retail banking in there. This is preposterous. What's happened? What's this, that, the other? And I said, well, I've taken a quick look at the permissions and they seem to be incorrect. I don't know how that would have happened. And then someone else piped up and said, yes, it seems there's some misconfiguration and there's no logs available either, so we don't know when this happened or who did it. And I was like, yes, it's the work of a madman. Give me the correct permissions and I'll go and fix them. They were like, okay, we'll adjourn for half an hour. So I went back and I'm sweating and I'm there trying to manually go through like 100 more directories, trying to set the permissions again. And we went back into the room and then they're like, okay, systems seem to be running okay. What followed then was weeks and weeks of like recovery meetings and everything. And then I started making suggestions like we should have a centralized logging system. We shouldn't allow admins to clear the logs in case that might have been what would have happened. So I was happy making lemonade out of the lemon that I had grown and planted. In the end, I think my ruse was up because one day the project manager came over and said, oh, could you come see the head of retail banking? He's calling you. And I thought, that's it. I'm going to be there. Someone's packing up my desk. And I went there and the head of retail banking said, you were involved in this? I said, yes. And he said, I'd like to give you this certificate for your contributions to retail banking. And thank you, and a job well done. I am so glad I dodged the bullet, but also at the same time I think, how bad were our systems where like some young kid who knew nothing, didn't know what he was doing, messed it up, fixed it, and no one was none the wiser. And had I had malicious intent, that could have been like an absolute disaster.